With the average price of a new vehicle now costing over $36,000, nobody wants to get stuck with a lemon. Some cars and trucks can be driven for a decade or more and only require basic maintenance. Others will suffer a litany of mechanical woes that range from issues large and small. While no car manufacturer produces a flawless vehicle, most strive to produce a reliable one. On the other end of the spectrum lie manufacturers who fail year after year to produce reliable vehicles that can't even reach 20,000 miles before breaking down, whether it's mechanical parts or electrical components that fail. The 7 vehicles on this list were built in Satan's unholy workshop and sold only to make life a living hell for their buyers. So here are 7 cars only stupid people buy. The Jeep Wrangler. Jeeps have a reputation for being tough, gritty off-road vehicles, but the Wrangler is one of the most dangerous cars on the road, with its main issue being its defective manual transmission. Earlier this year, Jeep recalled certain 2018 through 2020 Jeep Wrangler SUVs and 2020 Jeep Gladiator pickup trucks equipped with manual transmissions due to the fact that they may overheat and pose an increased fire risk. This fatal flaw comes from the clutch pressure plate, the mechanism that transfers engine torque to the transmission. The clutch pressure transmission plate would overheat due to friction and causing the transmission case to crack. When the case fractures, heated debris contacts ignition sources on the vehicle, starting a fire and often causing a fatal explosion. Not to mention that a damaged pressure plate would lead to a loss of propulsion and create road debris. Victims would often smell a distinct burning smell emanating from the clutch and experience the clutch pedal to move further than usual, right before the pressure plate explodes. Owners were notified about the recall in late 2020, but by then thousands of lives were already lost. The Ford Mustang. Apparently 3 months ago, Ford agreed to pay millions to owners of the Ford Focus and Ford Fiesta vehicles equipped with a power-shift automatic transmission. The automaker will have to purchase back defective cars for as much as $22,000 apiece, which would end up costing a potentially mammoth $500 million. Now Ford is in trouble with another transmission, and this time it's not even an automatic. A new class action lawsuit from 2011 through 2020 Mustang owners will seek legal action against the company for the sports car's 6-speed manual gearbox. According to the lawsuit, the transmission slips, jerks, engages harshly, clashes gears, suffers premature wear, and eventually fails. Ford previously used quality American-made transmissions in older Mustangs, but switched to off-brand substandard Chinese transmissions to save money, a decision that proved to be a mistake of epic proportions. These defective Chinese manual transmissions are designed for smaller vehicles with less horsepower. When used in a high-horsepower Mustang, the transmission synchronizers failed, often resulting in a total loss of control at high speeds. Furthermore, customers claim that when they returned to dealerships to have the problem fixed, the faulty manual transmissions were replaced with parts that were just as defective, or if not more defective than the original components. The Alfa Romeo Giulia. Alfa Romeo has always received a ton of flack compared to other Italian car manufacturers, but all the negative feedback from the Giulia has been wholeheartedly earned. Shortly after surpassing 1,500 miles on many of these tiny cars, things begin to go haywire. Owners have shared stories of lightly cruising down the road when out of nowhere the motor deteriorates. The engine starts making odd noises, and in some cases it full-on stalls. As any renowned auto riders and TV personalities have stated in the past, Alfas are great cars until they hit 20,000 miles. They could be great daily drivers only if they had the reliability that the mainstream European cars have. We wouldn't put our money on Alfa, but the Giulia is probably one of the worst of them all. The Porsche Boxster. The Boxster is one of the most hated in the Porsche family, particularly due to its mechanical faults. Porsche is becoming more and more notorious for creating vehicles that will never last for a premium price, but the Boxster takes the cake for being extremely unreliable. Several articles are devoted entirely to the cons of purchasing a Boxster that's guaranteed to experience some engine troubles down the road. Previous and current owners alike have also claimed that the Boxster eats through the brakes and tires, and inexperienced mechanics have a difficult time pinpointing what exactly is going wrong with these oddball coupes. In other words, if you're looking for something that's headache-free, then the Boxster isn't your friend. The Tesla Model S. The famed Tesla brand has had a few hiccups in its sales over the past few years, partly because many of the features that were once options are now standard, which means the mechanical engineering is a bit more complex. Originally, the Model S came with the option of all-wheel drive and air suspension upgrades. Since these characteristics are now standard, this means the engineering process for each and every Model S is more complex than, say, a wheel-wheel drive or leaf spring suspension. Plus, we can't ignore the fact that all of Tesla's vehicles are meant to be state-of-the-art, with high-tech functions to bring in modern-minded buyers. However, all of these cool and hip features can come at a cost, mainly in the reliability department. What was once considered to be a highly dependable Tesla is now facing mechanical compromises, one that isn't keeping its latest owners too happy. The Jaguar XJ. The Jaguar XJ has had a traumatic history, and the continual shifting of Jaguar's ownership didn't seem to help sales much at all. In fact, under Ford, Jaguar didn't make any profits at all, which is why it was quickly sold to Tata Motors. So, each iteration of the XJ has been slightly different. However, the first generations of the XJ were the fault of the original Jaguar company. The result wasn't pretty. The exterior of the XJ has always attracted a number of buyers. The unexpected enthusiast may come across these luxury marvels thinking that the car is well made just because it's expensive. But sooner or later, buyers realize they dug themselves into a hole of no return. XJs in general are known to leave you stranded on the side of the road. Recent models have seemed to be better built, but many auto experts will argue that their price isn't always justifiable. No matter what year, you're gonna be burning money when you buy an XJ. The BMW 7 Series. The sharp-looking 7 Series was never built to last. Actually, the opposite is true. It's largely claimed that BMW made the 7 Series intentionally repair-prone. Whether the conspiracy is real or not, we know for a fact that the 7 Series is one troubled car. Almost anything on it is liable to fail. And the worst part is that since it was built mechanically complex, simple issues would take 10 times longer to repair, particularly if the mechanic doesn't specialize in BMW. And as anyone knows, the longer it takes to repair a car, the more expensive your bill comes. Even if you replace every single part on the car, you'll spend more than what the car is worth. Without someone handy to make constant repairs, the 7 Series won't last longer than a couple of years. The Maserati Quattroporte. The longevity of Maserati's cars has never really been a good selling point. The idea that high price equates to high quality engineering is a falsehood that Maserati will gladly perpetuate. Though the Quattroporte is claimed to be the least reliable of the manufacturer's current lineup, it's not too challenging to figure out why. Numerous customers have reported that this car has serious electrical glitches that hinder your ability to drive it anywhere. In many of those instances, the car has had less than 5,000 miles on it. It seems that this car is too far costly to drive. It isn't a worthy investment unless you're okay with not driving it half the time that you own it. The BMW 5 Series. BMW deserves a lot of credit for creating relatively well-made vehicles that have a good lifespan. From 2006 onward, the 5 Series has been considered BMW's least reliable line of vehicles. Many of the issues involve simple problems that will likely go unnoticed and create serious damage. For instance, some owners have experienced issues with the aluminum screws on the camshaft, causing the heads to break off easily and metal to spread throughout various parts. Others once were lucky when they found the true diagnosis. Regardless, the 5 Series cars do have a bad habit of leaving drivers with no engine mid-drive, which could be pretty dangerous. On average, those repairs cost about $2,500, but it's better to avoid the 5 Series altogether. The Volvo XC90. While the XC90 has cleaned up its act since 2016, we still don't recommend that you buy this vehicle, particularly since it's a luxury SUV that costs a bit more on average, and consistently performs below average when compared to its competitors. Some issues include a number of electrical problems, including a low battery and failed alarm system. But it doesn't stop there. Many drivers have also lost power while driving down the road as well. What's really unnerving is how unsafe the X90 is, due to the high number of airbag recalls for the vehicle. Though the worst of them all is the brake failure that commonly occurred. Regardless, customers have higher expectations with Volvo, and the XC90 definitely didn't deliver. The Mercedes-Benz GLC. The Mercedes-Benz GLC doesn't come cheap, as you would have to part with $42,000 for a base model. It has a 2-liter inline turbo engine that produces 241 horsepower. The car can go from 0 to 60 in 6.4 seconds. The GLC has a 3-star overall rating when it comes to reliability. It may be a leader in design, and its interior may have that Mercedes-Benz finish, but looks still make a car. The main issues that have been raised with the car are the brakes and the suspension. There have also been reported mechanical problems with the steering and the power equipment. Range Rover. For anyone who has ever had a brush with a Land Rover, you probably already have an idea of where we're going with this one. The Range Rover, along with the Discovery, is one of the most effective of the Land Rover lineup. The latest model of the Range Rover has a 50% reliability rating, on average. That may come to a shock to anyone who may have noticed that the Range Rover has been around for quite some time. It's a relatively popular SUV in spite of its $100,000 price tag, though much of the buzz around the Range Rover is predominantly hype. Much of the mechanical faults, recalls, and engine failure has existed for several generations of the Range Rover. When Ford acquired Land Rover in 2006, they decided to use Jaguar engines in their vehicles, which didn't help Range Rover much, if at all. The Ford Focus. The Ford Focus is a very popular vehicle in North America. The car first hit the assembly line in 1998 and mainly targeted the European market. The third generation saw a shift in design. This exterior featured a more sporty look. Ford has always had an issue with reliability, and the Focus magnifies that weakness. A lot of owners have complained about the fact that they have to replace the clutch from time to time. There's also an issue of lag when shifting the gears, which can become cumbersome in the long run. Well guys, those are 7 cars that only stupid people buy. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Also, if you'd like what you see at the channel, subscribe and put post notifications on. You could also follow the channel on Instagram at Modern Muscle YT. I'm Jeff from Modern Muscle, and I'll see ya next time.